Welcome to Nic On Knicks, where your boy N.I.C rants about the latest Knicks news. All of us Knicks fans, we spent a lot of time wondering who was going to get that final roster spot. Were we going to have to move somebody to free up a spot to be able to keep Landry Shamet and Brogdon? Figure out a way to maybe keep Garrison Matthews. Many people thought, hey, we got to keep Brogdon. We got to keep Shamet. Does that mean that we have to give up Dadier, that we have to give up Kolek? Well, all of that was for naught. Malcolm Brogdon today abruptly announced his retirement from the NBA after 9 years in the league. So now it looks like Shamet will be on the team. Some people wonder if we are going to move a Dadier or it's got to be either Dadier or Kolek. Are we going to trade one of them to now keep Garrison Matthews? Who knows? But many people, including myself, saw Brogdon as a possible contributor, as a rotation piece, a backup point guard, a true pass-first point guard that this roster is devoid of. JB averaged over 7 assists last year. I think that he's going to up that to over 8, maybe even creep up to the 9 level. But he's not a pass-first point guard. I love JB. He's the greatest thing that's happened to the Knicks since 1985 when Patrick Ewing got drafted, but he is not a pass-first point guard. I think that's part of the evolution of his game. Brogdon was a guy who, whether it's playing with the second unit, playing, with JB, there's a good chance you're going to see him play with JB this year if he ends up on the team. And many people are reporting that Brogdon was going to make the team. But Brogdon waited until just before the last game of preseason, 1 week before the regular season starts, to say that he's going to hang him up. He's battled injuries throughout his entire career. I mean, he's barely played over 60 games. And that was the question mark coming into this season as a Knicks fan is this guy going to be able to stay healthy enough to be able to contribute? And my personal feeling is that Brogdon had all the want to play, all the intention to play, and to play for the New York Knicks for the league minimum, by the way. And I think that Brogdon went through this training camp and this preseason process, and he realized that physically he just wasn't going to be able to do it. I said in the post game after the last game against the Wizards, I said that I thought that he looked a step slow. Brogdon is not a guy who is going to jump off the page with athleticism. Never has been. He's a guy that relies on positioning, relies on guile and overall cleverness. But that last game, I saw him not finish on a layup. I felt like he didn't quite look like himself. And I wondered out loud whether or not that was the toll of training camp, preseason, starting to catch up to him. And now we find out that he's decided to move on and start a new chapter in life that does not involve playing basketball. I think it's a loss for the Knicks in that if healthy, he could contribute. He's a former 50, 40, 90 guy. But, listen, if he doesn't feel like he can do it or he's not all in, then you got to move on. And now it seems clear that Landry Shamet is going to get that final roster spot. Are the Knicks compelled to move one of their young pieces to be able to keep Garrison Matthews? We'll find that out in just a few days here. Monday night rosters have to be finalized. Next Wednesday night, the season starts. And Malcolm Brogdon will not be on the bench unless he decides to become an assistant coach and get himself a three-quarter zip. I also think just as a mentor, especially for, the Deuces of the world, the Koleks of the world, he could have been valuable. I also think that the juxtaposition of how he plays basketball as compared to a Jordan Clarkson, it would have been nice to have them on the court together for him to kind of just keep things in order when Jordan decides to, go a little bit nutty. Jordan's going to drive you nuts this year. He's going to drive me nuts this year. I am hoping that with the depth of this roster, when he comes out and he's, having the sort of game that sort of effort that makes Mike Breen want to puke, like last year when he was on the opposing team, I was hoping that we have the depth to be able to go away from him on those nights. And I still think that that is the case. This doesn't change anything about, what you think the Knicks are going to do. If you think that Brogdon was going to be the missing piece for a title team, the one that got us over the hump, you're wrong. He could help. He could be a good addition, but he's not going to be the reason why we win or lose a championship this year. So we move on. Appreciate everybody checking us out on all the different platforms. We're on Facebook Live. We are on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on X. We're on Instagram Live. If you are watching us on any of the platforms right now, please follow, please subscribe. Hop over to YouTube, hit the subscribe over there. That's the easiest way to know when I'm going live. I also do a weekly podcast with my pops. It's called He Did This to Me. It's a sports podcast by a father and son who happen to be mostly optimistic Knicks, Mets, and Jets fans. We talk all sports. We give betting advice. Come check us out. Got a couple people in the chat right now. Please, please, please comment in the chat. The whole reason that I do this live is so that I can interact with you guys. I promise you, if you comment in the chat, that I will reply. I do not promise that I will be nice. Keith Watkins, #1 fan, down in the ATL. Keith, what do you feel like right now after hearing that Brogdon is retiring? Are you sad? Are you mad? Are you glad? Or are you indifferent? Talk to me, Keith. Nostalgic Nick is in here. Salute. Fan of the show. Appreciate you, Nostalgic Nicks, as always. But yeah, man, Brogdon is out. And I would not be surprised if once we get a couple months into the season or even closer to or at the deadline, if the Knicks go ahead and add a secondary ball handler. Another guy who can take a little bit of that pressure off of a Brunson when teams are trying to press him 95 feet and they're being extremely physical with him. I think that a guy like Brogdon would have been helpful in a situation like that. And I'm hoping that the Knicks are rolling and they're playing so well that the thought of a trade is the last thing on our mind. But I do think that a secondary ball handler is something that this team has been missing for a while. I wish it could be Deuce McBride. I love Deuce McBride. I think he's a valuable member of this team. I think he's going to be an important member of this team. I think he's vastly underpaid for his skill set, and there's a lot of things that McBride does well. If I'm keeping it a buck, my 9-year-old has a better handle than Deuce McBride. Now, don't get it twisted. My 9-year-old, he's got a handle. If you got a kid who wants to play ball, I advise you to get the Dribble Up app. Dribble Up, I've now shouted you out on multiple podcasts. I sent you some clips. Somebody else holler at them. Tell them to support the show. Tell them to get out here and endorse the show. Sponsor the show, Dribble Up, because ain't nobody giving y'all more airtime than me. But hey, man, I think that at the end of the day, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. But Brogdon, man, the one thing that gives me a little bit pause is that, like I stated before, I do feel like he probably felt that his body could not hold up to the rigors of an NBA season. There is a part of me that says, okay, this guy came back. He's clearly trying to chase a ring. And does he look around that Knicks locker room and feel like maybe they don't have it? I don't know, man. My brain always goes down all the different roads and thinks about all the possibilities. So I don't know if that's the case. I think, like I said, it's more likely that just mentally and physically, he just felt like he just couldn't do it anymore. It was over for him, and we know about his injury history. So, hey, man, it's over for Malcolm. My man Keith Watkins says Kolek probably stays now. Only true point off the bench. Hey, I think that Kolek definitely stays, unless the Knicks really love Garrison Matthews and they want to move on from him or Dadier. I've stated before, even though Dadier has not looked great in this preseason, his size, his athleticism, and his form on his jump shot, as well as his youth, to me, make him somebody that you cannot trade. We need the wing depth. And with a team that is, maneuvering on the margins like the Knicks are in regards to the second apron, you got to keep a young wing like that you have under control for, a discount, or not even really a discount, just for low money for at least another year or two. So I've said before that I don't want to give up Dadier. If I have to give up Dadier or Kolek, it would definitely be Kolek. But Keith, you're right. He's the only true point guard off the bench. He's the only pass first point guard on this entire roster now. I just don't think that he is ready to get quality rotation minutes on a team with championship aspirations. I know that Kolek played well, especially in the second half against Washington. Overall, man, going back to Summer League, and when I've seen him, most of the times when he does get regular season action, he just does not look like a guy who can consistently exist on the court without being a huge deficiency. He needs to be more aggressive with the shot. He loves to pass. I love that about him. He led the nation in assists at Marquette his senior year. But when he's aggressive, it'll actually give him more ability to set other guys up. You saw, since he's been in the league, that teams are looking for the pass from him. And I thought one of the things he did so well in this most recent preseason game against Washington is he was aggressive with the shot. And you could see that, God can make shots, man. I mean, when you watch these summer workouts and you see a guy like Kolek going one-on-one with Jordan Clarkson, these guys don't miss. Kolek doesn't miss in that type of atmosphere. And he's being guarded by another NBA player. I saw a couple different videos of him this summer being guarded by other NBA players, and this guy is taking it to him. So all that tells me is his ability to do that in real NBA games. A lot of his inability to do that has to do with the fact that it's a confidence issue. What does Clyde always say? It's the most key aspect of basketball is confidence. So I think that there is potential for him. He's got the size to be a point guard. He's not, despite what some people may assume by his, lack of melanin, he's not a bad athlete. He's a decent athlete. He's a good enough athlete to play in this league. He's as good of an athlete as Jalen Brunson is. Just needs some more confidence and needs to be more aggressive out there. And maybe Kolek can be a contributor. But from what I've seen from him so far, right now, not a contributor. Not a guy that you can count on to play, any type of big minutes if you have a team that, wants to be at the mountaintop. Keith says that he would not move Dadier now. Was only on the fence if we were keeping a better true point guard. I think he may get some time this season. We were very lucky health-wise last year. His size may be needed. Keith, you hit the nail on the head right there, my guy. Our injury health last year was fantastic. Very lucky. You had JB, really the only starter that missed significant time, and we were lucky enough to get him back for the start of the playoffs. I also think that when he was out, OG had a bit of an ascension there, and I think that's going to continue to mature coming into this season and as we move forward. I saw OG in the preseason with the jab step 3. Come on, man. The first couple of times I saw OG do that shit last year, I was like, this is all right. Okay, that's cool. But this ain't going to keep happening. But as we saw, that is in his bag now, officially. OG has really improved his offensive ability, and I think that we are going to see him be able to do his thing. But back to the matter at hand, our injury health was great last year. And yeah, if one of our wings goes down, you expect Mikal Bridges to play all 82. But Dadier is not that far out of the rotation because we only have so many big wings after our starters. So you're absolutely right, Keith. There is a chance that he will end up playing some minutes this season. Obviously, we hope that everybody plays 82 and everybody's going to be 100% healthy. We know that's not going to happen. You know, all we can do is pray, basically, that we just at least all are healthy come late April. Kolek gets 25 games to prove he belongs. If not, he's gone by deadline for another point guard. Totally agree. If Kolek cannot crack the rotation and is not a contributor by the deadline, it only makes sense to make a move to bring in another guy who we know is a legitimate ball handler. Ball handler, can stick a three, plays a little bit of defense, doesn't do any of those things great, but does them all well. If you're a team that come deadline, it's really looking like you got a chance to make that push and to get to, like I said, that mountaintop. At that point, Kolek becomes totally expendable if he is not a rotation player. We got to figure it out, man. We got to figure out what we're going to do. Obviously, the Knicks brought in Brogdon for a reason. They had Brogdon in their plans, and Brogdon, he just felt like he couldn't make it happen. He couldn't do it. He couldn't go. It'll be interesting to see what his next move is. Does he go into coaching? Does he go into broadcasting? And then it'll be interesting, whatever he does, when he finally opens up a little bit more about his experience in Knicks training camp, just to kind of get a gauge of his mindset and what were those final thoughts that got him to a point that said, you know what, I've had enough. Really can't wait for this season to start, man. It's the most anticipation for the Knicks season in my lifetime. You know, I know people talk about, you know, how it was the 94, 95 or the 95, 96. And I just think that anticipation in general is something that is much larger across the board now because, I mean, I can talk to you right now. There's a million different people with opinions. If you're part of Knicks Twitter, you know, there's mad people with big followings, little followings, everything in between. I don't post enough on Twitter. I need to post more. I would have a bigger following if I did on Twitter, which would probably lead to more views here. I'm trying to be better, folks. I'm trying to be more consistent. I got 3 little ones and a real job. It ain't easy. But I know that I'm on there all the time reading what people have to say. I can't get into the back and forth with some people. There's some people I just can't get into the back and forth with, and there's some people that sometimes I gotta hop out there and just, you know, stop with the negative, move on from the past, new team, let's rock. I bet you a lot of Knicks Twitter probably knows exactly what I'm talking about right now. Hey, man, if you're on Twitter and you're checking me out right now, give me a follow. I got some thoughts. You might like to hear what I got to say. And if you are on any of the platforms, hop over to YouTube, hit that subscribe. That's the one that helps the channel. That's the one that helps me the most. And that's the easiest way to know when I'm going live so you can hop on and rock with your boy. Keith, as always, appreciate you in the comments. Let's see. Keith has a question. What do you got? What do you think about bringing back West? Not for shooting, but defense, ability to run the offense in short spurts. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening for a few different reasons. But, yeah, I don't see it. I think that at the end of the day, this Knicks team that you see right now, this is going to be it. I mean, even if you're talking about a guy like Brogdon, we're talking about Landry Shamet, those guys are not getting big minutes. They'll play. They'll get some minutes. But unless we catch the injury bug, those guys are not getting big minutes. And I think it'll also be interesting to see what the rotations look like on Friday, because it's going to be a more realistic version of a rotation, I think, depending on, a rotation of like what we're going to see when the actual regular season starts. This is the final dress rehearsal. We had a game where we didn't play the starters. Mike Brown has been, experimenting with all these different lineups. I think that this Friday we're going to see more of Mike Brown trying to kind of figure out what his rotations are going to be. But I also think that throughout the season, we're going to see him tinker with his rotations much more than the prior coach. I think that's just who he is. He's the type of guy who likes to experiment, who likes to watch minutes, who likes to preserve certain guys and preserve his guys overall for the eventual goal, which is playing into June. We're not going to make this a hate on Tibbs fest, because I got mad love for Tibbs, but Tibbs is the exact opposite of all those things. I also just saw that we saw recently that the Knicks were last in pace for the entire preseason. Interesting, small sample size, obviously, but considering that Mike Brown, all he ever talks about is we got to play fast, we got to play faster, we got to play faster. I found that a little bit surprising that we were last in pace. And in those games, especially like the games in Abu Dhabi, it looked like we were trying to push the ball. To be honest with you, I don't even know how the fuck they measure pace. I have no idea. My man, Nostalgic Nick, as always, man, appreciate you, man. Appreciate the love. Go check out Nostalgic Nick. And yeah, man, we're going to be coming at you this season. We're going to be talking Knicks for sure. We're going to try to be very consistent, at least a few times a week, post games when we can. But yeah, we got to figure out a way. And also, yes, as Nostalgic Nick says, congrats to Brogdon on a great career. He is the only player in league history to win both Rookie of the Year and Sixth Man of the Year, a career that was marred by injuries. Like I said, 50, 40, 90 guy, solid ball player, had really good stints in a few different places. And yeah, man, making it, playing 9 years in the NBA, man, that's nothing to sniff at, man. That's, that is something that is extremely hard to do. Shout to him for getting it done. Keith wants to know if we think we can if we can break top 10 in pace, and do we think we will end up with the 40% threes? Mike Brown wants us to take 40 threes per game. He didn't say he wants us to shoot 40%. He said he wants us to take 40 threes. If we shoot 40% as a team, we're winning the chip for sure, no doubt. But he wants us to take at least 40 threes. And hey, man, that's the modern NBA. We have to, it's one of the biggest things that we have to do better than we have in recent years, is we have to take more threes and we have to guard the three better. No doubt. That's a fact. If you want to be great in today's NBA, you have to be somebody who takes a lot of threes, or a team that takes a lot of threes, and a team that guards the three well. Okay, Keith, thank you for the clarification. 40% of shots taken. 12 teams did it last season. Honestly, I don't know enough, and I'm not smart enough to know if 40% of our shots are going to be threes or exactly how that works. But I get that, though. I mean, that makes sense. That I get, listen, maybe when I heard him say that he wants us to take 43s, maybe he was saying 40% of our shots being threes. I think that's somewhat decent too. I think that makes sense. But I think we're going to take a lot of threes. I think we're going to take a lot of threes, and I think that this team, with the way that we're built, with both Cat and Brunson and their ability to score inside the three-point line, Mikal Bridges being one of the best mid-range shooters in the game, OG, he's got a mid-range game bag. You've seen him, doing his little step-back hit in the jumper. I think if you combine that with a team that overall shoots over 40%, especially if the volume is there, we win the chip. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And I think that overall, this team is going to play fast. JB is going to play off the ball, and we're going to be a force to be reckoned with, man. After that first game in Abu Dhabi, I made it clear. I said the Knicks are winning the chip. We are so much deeper than we were, and we are going to run a much more modern NBA style of basketball. And I think that's what we need. That's what we need. We need Jalen Brunson to take that superstar jump where you say, I'm going to score a little bit less, but I'm going to be more efficient, and I'm going to make sure I get my guys involved. And when it comes down to it, and all the chips are pushed to the middle, he's still a clutch player of the league. And he shot well over 42% on catch and shoots. So I agree with you, Keith. Catch and shoot could be ridiculously efficient and effective this season. There's no reason to believe it's already been ridiculously efficient and effective. We just need more of it. We need him to not have to create for himself and everybody else so much. We need him to not have to dribble the ball up against pressure for the entire 95 feet as much. And those are things that the early returns, it is clear that Mike Brown feels the same, and that he is strategizing to be able to make both of those elements consistent and effective elements for the New York Knicks. So yeah, man, this is a quick one today. I saw the Brogdon news, had some time, wanted to hop on. Definitely will be coming next week with a preseason preview, or I should say a season preview. And I got a big guest. Somebody that if you are in the Knicks world, the Knicks Twitter world, you definitely know who he is. So check out for that. That'll be dropping next Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern. And it's going to be a fun season, man. If you're out there, subscribe. Like I said, hit that notification button so you know when we are going live. As always, appreciate all the love. Saturday, look out for that new episode of He Did This to Me. We're in studio, trying to do big things. Appreciate y'all. It's your boy Nic On Knicks. Peace.